two different scenarios. One would be borrowing the $250,000 for 5 years, and one would be borrowing it for 10 years. They're both at a fixed rate of 5.25%, and the payments for the year, if we do the 5 years, is $55,199.47 over the life of the loan for the interest, and they would be $3,990.47 per month for 5 years. If we do the 10 years, it is, the interest is $32,188 and principal annually, and the total amount per month is $2,682.29. Do you want me to send this to you, Ron?
It's an agreement,
No, it's
proposal?
just a, it's basically it's just
Sure.
the beginning for us to pick something
Very
before
good.
they put the paperwork
Yes,
together. Okay.
So what was it per month on the 5 year?
So 5 year, it's $3,990.47.
And then this 10 year was 2,000, so it's about $1,000 more per month, or a little over 1,300 more per month.
Yep. So when the annual payment of the for 10 years is $32,188, and we were looking at, I guess around what, 35,000 when we did it, 150, around there. I don't remember.
I remember a figure of 33, 34. something
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm. So this is a little bit cheaper, but it's going to be a longer period of time.
Right.
But there's no penalties to prepay.
Okay.
Am I missing something in the numbers? What was the principal per year?
Well, they gave you for the 10-year loan, the principal and interest is
Oh,
$32,100.
I was thinking 5.
5 years.
55,199.
It
For 5
says over the life of the loan. Maybe he didn't give it to me for the year. Maybe he just gave it to me.
No, it can't be per year.
Right, because that would be 4,000 times 12 would be only 36 there. Yeah. So I think this is over the life of the loan. He was just trying to show us what the interest rate was. I don't know
Yeah,
why he
okay.
did it like that.
I personally would find it more helpful, and probably once this gets discussed publicly, we had arrived at a percentage of people's assessments
Mhm.
as an add-on line on the tax bill. So, I don't remember what it is, I don't even know if I
So,
can line, but.
We came up to, an average house was assessed at $4,000, and if we did the 5-year loan, it would be $160 per year for the average house. And if we do the 10-year loan, it's $80 per year.
Yeah, but, the average meaning, I mean, that's.
The average house would mean that $4,000, that's
Right,
what we
well,
use.
because we may not have anybody who's actually at 4,000, people who live more or something less. So what would be helpful is the multiplier. In other words, if your assessed valuation is this much, you can, and that's what I put into that letter that we had sent out. If your, check your tax bill. If your assessed valuation is this much, multiply that by .012 or something like that, and that will be what your share per year. That tells people this is how much they'll see as a separate line on their tax bill.
Well, what they'll see is that if we do the 5 years, it's gonna be $4 per hundred.
Okay, well, that's the figure,
Okay.
$4 per hundred.
If we do the 10 years, it's $2 per hundred.
Okay, well, that to me is what we really,
So that's what we had, $2 per hundred, we had 150,000. But then now we have to extend it 5 more years to get the same.
Okay, so it's the same 200.
$2
$2
For 10 years,
per $100 of assessment.
Under assessed.
for 10 years.
Times 10 years,
Or we can do $4 per hundred.
which would be doubling it.
Yeah,
that's
and that
gonna
would be
go up
5
like a
years.
lead balloon. So that's what I'm saying. If we
Mhm.
say, well, we're gonna go with the dock and now we're doubling what it was gonna cost you, even if it's for a shorter period of time, we're gonna have a lot of carrying on.
Well, that's why I
If we
think
say
10
we're just
years-
extending it a little long, we're extending it.
Right, the 10 years fits right into what people have been told all along.
Right,
Yeah, I think that we should stay with that only because we don't have any penalties for prepayment.
right. So that's great. Because in the back of my mind, I know we talked about 7 years, and I said, well, that would be a nice.
And that number, I know that what you're saying about the number, most people don't know how Brookhaven or how the town assesses a house. So most people don't know to go to that tax bill and find what that number is. Whereas if we also can give them just this general, if your house is worth, most people know what their houses are worth.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what evaluation is.
I know, I understand
It's
that.
on a tax bill, and that's what we said, take out your tax bill, and it'll have your assessed valuation, which is like $1,000. And it's like not reflecting. the
Right, it's
price.
nothing like the value.
You know, so whatever it is,
Yeah.
times, you know, in this case, 2 times 10 would be 20, 200? No,
No,
2
$20.
times 10 is $20, so.
Right.
So for somebody, I mean, that was the running joke that everybody was carrying on, and it was like $20.
Well, it's $20 per thousand.
Yeah, but some people are assessed at $1,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and some of the most
I wish I knew.
vociferous of the people who were against it had that kind of bungalow with that, I mean, I haven't seen it, but around that assessed valuation.
So do you think it's better to go with the 10 years?
No, I think, well, for the way it looks and the way we want people to understand that this is, if you stretch it out a little bit more, it's less painful than doubling it. And even though it'd be for a shorter period, I just think.
What do you think? As,
Well, you know, there's no change in the interest rate, which is, you know, that's a big plus and a good reason to go that
Go
way.
along.
and no penalty to prepay.
Yeah.
So that's also good.
Yes, I agree.
So you think we should go with the 10 years
Yes.
then? Okay.
Makes sense.
Right. Anything
Yep.
else on that?
I was thinking, is it possible, if this all happens,
When,
would it be possible to have some kind of marker put in? Someone had mentioned this to me. There used to be the Oyster House, they have pictures of it, some kind of like here once stood, to remind people that there was something there all along, and it was a historical
Yeah, it is
thing.
nice.
I mean, just to remind us, as everyone walks on the dock, because you see what they do in port, they have the pier and all that whole waterfront that they did, and all the shipyard was here, and these rails were part of that shipyard. And we have that leftover foundation, because we could put a little something there that would remind everyone of the history of it.
Yeah, I
that's
like
a
that.
good idea.
And
Do you want to do it about the Oyster House, like what used to be there?
I would say, yeah,
Okay, so maybe Chris Ryan's the person.
whoever the historian might
Yeah.
be.
Okay, so the second thing is request from the Poquott Community Association for the tent for the lobster bank. We have, I think we have $1,500 we put aside for events, right?
Uh, 1672.
Is it what we put aside for events?
No, that's the account. I have 500 for now. Let me see what the total is. 1,500, yes.
1,500, okay. So it's like around $1,000 for it. Which is really the only event that the village does for the entire year. So I think that, every year we kind of approve it, so. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, did you guys have a chance to look at the tennis courts?
I have.
So, Cindy sent us over the estimates. I looked at the tennis courts. I don't see what's wrong with them, but I don't play tennis. So, I think though we should do it because it might get really bad, and then how much it's gonna cost them.
There's a lot of cracks.
There are cracks.
I just can't believe that it costs that much money to fix them. I guess what these guys do is they do a whole major, they go down deep and dig it. I don't know how they could arrive at that figure.
Well, we
But
could charge.
It looks like they're
them.
using some kind of special solve, material to do it, and all those three companies used the same. I think it was called like Right
Yeah.
Seal or something like that.
Crack something.
I figure they know what they're doing.
Yeah, but there are the cracks on there. And they have the little basins. They call them, I think, bird basins that form. Either we fix it or we lose
We
it.
budgeted the money, I think, right?
Mhm.
We should go ahead
What did
with
we
it because we
put,
promised
what
we
did we
would
put
go
aside
ahead.
for the tennis courts? probably gonna be under trustees park.
I don't have a big number there, we have 3,000. Oh, wait a second, that's just the month. $9,000,
9,000. So yeah, we did.
That's for the year, for
Yes.
trustees park?
yes.
What other expenses do
Except
we?
for supplies and services, 4,000, so that's
13.
miscellaneous.
13 total,
Yes.
4,000 miscellaneous, 9,000 that
It was for the
was
tennis
for the
court.
tennis court.
Mhm.
So it's under what we budgeted.
I say we gotta do it.
Okay, so we'll add that to. This one.
What about tennis and that's just the other
Well, get my kids on their skateboards on.
Some people are using it for
That's
their
what
dogs.
did it.
So, no, that's not what did it.
I'm just kidding, we never did that. It is like the only flat surface in our whole village though.
Do we know which one we're going with?
Well, the best one we saw was Gold Coast Tennis, right? Did you guys look at these?
I did, I thought, was it Gold Coast? I didn't bring it with me. Yeah, is that
Yeah,
the three of them?
They're all three in there.
Oh, my Gold Coast. Yeah, I thought Gold Coast was.
Right, we won't be charged the sales tax,
Right.
so,
Right. They seem to be doing the same scope of work as everyone else. This one guy just offered to power wash it. Cut it. But,
one thing came in at $17,000.
I know, it seemed like the same scope of work that Gold Coast was doing
Mhm.
for 17,000. I want clay courts for that.
Okay, Walnut Beach, Bill sent me an email today that he wanted to, so what happened with the chairs? Did we find them?
So, Joe must still have the receipt.
Okay, but did we find the chairs?
No?
Okay.
There are chairs down at Walnut that are new, but they're bike locked to a tree.
Are they white?
Adirondack?
They're Adirondack, but they're like green.
No, those
They're like
aren't it.
lime green.
Those aren't it?
See, that's why Eddie wanted to change them, is because the chairs that Joe bought were like white chairs that you sit at a table at, like a picnic table.
Oh, I thought he bought the
I
Adirondack.
thought he bought, because 2 years ago he bought Adirondack.
Yeah.
That's weird that he would have switched that
Yeah,
up.
I thought he told me
Yeah.
he bought Adirondack and he wanted to,
Unless.
Walnut Beach on the back of them.
Maybe Eddie's seeing something different, I don't know.
We should,
Because the only ones I see down there are the lime green Adirondacks.
Right, I thought those were ours.
So did I. But they're bike locked up, so I don't know where that bike lock came from.
This is what he bought.
Oh.
So that's why he said, if you give me the receipt, I'll go exchange them and get the Adirondacks ones.
I couldn't find it, so I'm assuming that he still has it.
Okay.
Joe is the one who bought them.
All right, I'll just have him, because that was one of the things that Bill mentioned today too about the chairs, but I'll have them just deal with Joe.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Would you buy this chairs at Ace?
I thought they were from Ace, I thought
I
that's.
mean, would you buy the new chairs from Ace? 'Cause
Yeah, just
then they would
exchange it.
Give you, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I don't know where these chairs are, the white ones, do we know where they are? Okay.
Are they heavy chairs?
No,
No,
they're
they were just plastic,
How- How do we expect
They were
that
right-
to be taken away? I mean, those light little chairs are gonna be.
well, these are really chairs for sitting at a
Next day,
table.
that would be
I don't know, the ones last year survived.
Yeah, I mean, Van Mountain Beach has had theirs for like a number of years.
it. And burnt stuff.
All right, and then he,
Well, again, that goes to the idea of, having a shed of
Yeah,
some kind
that's- he sent
that
this.
locks down,
Mhm.
so that stuff can be put in and taken out, and we can have it.
locked up.
But somebody has to do that. You say that.
Individuals can do that. It can be opened in the morning.
Yeah.
It wasn't too long ago that that gate was being locked and opened every day. You know, it's open in the morning and it's open.
All right, well, let's try it. I mean, we're not talking about it. Let's
Yeah.
try it.
So, and he got a price for a rake for a couple $100. He
This is
spoke.
the rate that gets towed behind the
The thing,
quad, right?
right. He spoke to Marianne, he said, and that she was gonna bring down her quad, and then he sent me this email today. This was one example he had of something to hold everything in there and lock it up.
I'd love to know
Does it have
what,
double doors?
Yeah, it's got double doors on the side and a single door on the side.
is that all wood structures that can be nailed together?
I don't know if, you know what, if, I mean, I think he was just thinking of something that would
Something
be
like that.
size that would fit it, you know? So, I mean, it's the first phase and what,
How
you
far,
know,
you think our handyman could build something like that for less, or?
well, I can ask him.
Yeah, I'd love to know what he could price it
Okay.
out at. But that's perfect, that, roll right into it.
I think they'll have more on Walnut Beach, so if he gets here before we end, then we can update us on that. Okay, so we have, how many sprinkler repairs to, from the fall?
So we have polices, which are 2 bills, one for $434.50 and one for $168.37.
Okay,
And then we have Stacy Crossings. Which was $280.
okay. So we had agreed in the fall when this happened that we would pay for them, but they didn't have any estimates yet.
Okay.
So I don't know if anybody wants to see them, wants to object to them, but we did agree that we would pay them in the fall, so. Okay, drainage issues on Maple and New Street. Rich and Mike are gonna work on that with Chick, but Chick's away, so I'm gonna table that till September. Village landscaping, I saw John sent an email out to us. Your things got taken out?
Whack back. The small ones disappeared, but the one that was big enough, you could see it was whacked and it's gone.
I'm sorry. It was worth it.
It's like my hamster died.
Yes.
Deer did.
I go all the way to Brookhaven Town Hall, and I got these 7 twigs around.
So,
I guess everything else seems fine with that, I mean, the paths, I didn't see them on the, on
they didn't
Union
do Stevens
Path.
Paths yet. I sent John a note, and if you know, I said, if you're gonna meet with Ken, I'll come down on Saturday and meet you, because I wanna show him what they used to do down in Trustees Park, like they used to edge, they used to turn the beds over.
Right.
Like, I don't know if he realizes they used to do that, so. And, you know, that whole, that lotto, that thing, it's all fall weeds again, like,
Right, I should actually be in there picking them.
send the children in there.
So I just want to remind you that if anybody speaks to them directly or indirectly, we need to attend to that tree
Yes,
down at the park down there.
well, we're gonna give that to the tree company. Mm-hmm. Which, right, they didn't start today, right?
No, they never called back.
Okay.
By the way, when I was down there, there was a no parking anytime sign. There used to be where the trailers that could be backed up to get off the ramp, and it's straight across from the ramp. And then at one spot that's been looking, we had a no parking sign, no parking anytime sign there. It's just laying down. So it looks like it must have just gotten
Hint,
hit, and knocked out of the
I
ramp.
got David put it back up.
Yeah, I mean, it would just.
What's the status of that ramp? Has anyone even looked to see if it's still a viable ramp? Is it covered in
People
moss?
using it.
People using it? Okay, good.
I mean, if any use it goes up and down.
It goes up and
so,
down.
uh-huh. Okay, so we had a lawsuit with Ashley Homes, which was, a contractor that bought a lot through Town of Brookhaven, correct? Okay, auction. Yep, and that was on, Morton Matter. They went to the ZBA told them that they couldn't build a house there, and they sued both the village and the ZBA. This week, the judge ruled that they can't sue the village, and that they can only sue the, ZBA at this time. They're gonna move forward with presenting the facts for them, so. Who knows how long it'll take. We have another lawsuit too, don't we have the other lawsuit with, the pond, with, Long Island Sound? That woman who swallowed the
Yes.
water? But we
Yes.
haven't heard anything
I
on
have
that,
not
right?
heard anything.
Okay,
What part?
not pond, Long Island Sound, she
Pirates
swallowed
Cove.
water over at Pirates Cove, so she sued all, like Belpaire, Port Jack, Poquott, I guess the town of Brookhaven, whoever else. But that was, I mean, last summer, maybe the summer before.
Yeah, I think it was a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
We were served?
yep. Served, we answered, and we haven't heard anything back, so. All right, so we don't have to review Village Code 183. We can change this to new Village Code 46, right? Which is what I gave you guys here. So we'll do that for September too. Go through it. This is a lot. This is all the stuff that you put together? Or this is Joe adding in your stuff?
Where did you get this from? This isn't my typing.
Joe sent it to me today. He says that this is going to remove chapters 183-14, 183-22.
Well, this is just a fraction.
It's just the,
This comes from, all right, he was able to do a lot considering that I screwed up on the files I sent him. What I would suggest is that we put this aside, and then when he gets the full thing, he can kind of work it in, because
Okay.
this is in the, kind of in the middle of enforcement's.
well, I think he's pulling it out and making a new chapter. He's making a chapter 46.
Yeah, well, he had to put some kind of a name on it.
Okay.
But he doesn't have all the stuff, so now, once he gets it, what you have, then we can put stuff.
Okay, so we should table this then. Okay.
One thing that came up today, though, when Cindy and I were talking about, I think I remember that we had, fines posted in here, and I think we, in some cases, and maybe not in this particular chapter, we had the cost of applying for a permit or something like that. Something that, to me, is inevitably going to have to change. We adjust fees with the fines. It just seemed to me, and I was gonna ask Joe about it, is that the way it's always done? Frank, do you know? Where in the code itself, it has the amount that, like, permit would cost for something, or the amount of a fine if you violate something.
Wouldn't that like hamstring us if we wanted to change it?
Well, that's the thing, you have to go through that whole process, and I'm just wondering,
Where is it now? Where do the people find out about how much permits cost and fines are?
Online.
Permit application.
And it's on the application?
So you probably need fines to be in there for code violations, you need fines to be listed.
Anytime we change a fine,
In
we
other
have
words,
to do a
when
public
they
hearing.
Can
they get
be
it-
probably written as voted on by the Board of Trustees. And then you would have a fee schedule that you would vote on and approve. And then you wouldn't have to change it every time. You wouldn't have to amend that law.
So there'd be a fee
so
structure.
we would put, but we would still have, mention it in the code, but then we can just go to change it. Then we'd have to change the code. If it's already in the E-code, that's like a whole thing.
You would, if I'm right, when Joe comes in, you would mark it as that the fee for this is as per the schedule approved by the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
And then you would have a schedule approved and voted on. And then when you want to change it, you just have a resolution to change that
Right.
schedule.
And the
not
schedule
amend
could
the
be
code.
here, it doesn't necessarily have to be online in the code. It could be online somewhere else, or just here.
Probably just on the application.
So that's kind of like what we're doing, right? So,
Fines or with?
Fees.
For fees.
Oh,
That's what we do now. Right,
Yeah,
but
that's
for
what we do
fines,
now.
they're in the code.
Fines, that's
and
different.
they're in the code.
Fines, not the fees, just the fines.
So
So if you
anytime-
violate one of the codes, you know how much it's gonna cost. So if we wanted to change that, and I think we did with the dog law, right? So we had to do a public hearing and change the code. But that was just for fines.
I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, it's just a process that we have to go through. But it's, you know, you have a public hearing, you have to put it back into E-code or have it separately online in the other section, you know. But if Joe says that's what other villages do, that's the way you do it,
Mhm.
then we'll do it.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money to keep changing the E-code. I mean, last year we were at a lot, a couple $1,000s, right?
Right. So,
Yep. And what did we end up today? We ended up, how much money did we have? 35,000 with CHIPS money? It was
I think it was
20,
20.
20, and then we had 11 and 8, right?
Oh, we get those? I see, I don't.
Yeah,
that's
those
true.
were all.
Okay, we get all those?
Mhm.
Okay.
So today we got the letter that the CHIPS money's gonna be 20,000. But then we had money from last year, 8,000 we didn't use, not from CHIPS, but from something else. And then we had like another, it ended up being around 30,000. But I think that's that's the money we should use towards the drains that we do over at Maple. So, because.
When that comes up, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm figuring it's gonna be, I mean, the
Good job.
drains on Walnut are 40,000,
Right.
right? So that's gonna probably be pretty close to that. No. All right, do you guys have anything else? Okay, motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
So, I'm just gonna. I don't think we have to wait till 7 because it's not a public hearing.
Okay.
But we do have to wait, I just wanna make sure that